Charlotte. She's the head of school at Bandek. You can see her writing at Bandek's podcast blog and hear her at the podcast. She attended actually Montessori through her elementary in California. And she has her Montessori training from Montessori Northwest and also Masters of Education from Loyola University. She has done very many Q&As for us already. She has also recorded 2 courses for us, Montessori Practice and Following the Child into the Future. And also she is one of the lecturers at Montessori Beginnings. One of her modules is there. So I'm really happy to have you on board. Yes, welcome.
Thank you. I'm really excited. I love doing these Q&As. Helping people do what they're most passionate about is just one of my greatest joys. And I love helping others and talking to people about Montessori and about child development and family life.
Perfect. Okay, thank you. Well, since this is a Q&A, I will start with the questions. Samantha was asking about ways to grow great love between twins. And I think we can talk about siblings and the relationship between siblings. And I think it's a nice topic to start with. What do you think, Charlotte?
Yeah, absolutely. Sibling dynamics are huge. Many families have more than one child. And when you have more than one child, you want them to get along, for the lifelong relationship, as well as just not being miserable every day. It makes everybody's life hard when children are fighting. And so it's natural to compare children. As humans, we are meaning-making machines. We are looking for ways to attach what we know to what we are experiencing. And one of the ways we do that is through learning through that first child. What so-and-so did kind of becomes our model for how all children interact with the world. And it's natural to make comparisons. The older one had more one-on-one time with adults, and subsequent siblings have this wonderful model in their older siblings. So not only do they have, often two parent household, or if you have an intergenerational model, mostly adults interacting with a child. But once you have a sibling, no matter how many adults there are, that child becomes so much stronger of a model. So it's natural to have, language develop faster because they don't have as many people trying to figure out their cues. This younger child is trying to keep up with the older one, so they might be walking sooner. And so it's natural to compare. And that's when, as adults, it's important to activate our upstairs brains and even just notice that I'm making comparisons. Am I attaching meaning and trying to look for a pattern in order to support my child? Or am I actually, pushing a pain button to say, like, the first one maybe was a really easy sleeper. And so then the next child is maybe not such a good sleeper. Neither of those is good or bad. Neither of those is how it should be. But maybe if I'm having that expectation that, they're going to sleep through the night, right away, that's an unfair expectation. Or, am I starting this child off with negative scripting of remembering that first year just being miserable because nobody slept more than 45 minutes at a time? That means that second child can't surprise you and be like, oh, look, they are sleeping for more than 45 minutes. Are they starting out in a deficit? So that's not specific to twins, but I think it's universal for if you have more than one child. Don't feel guilty for finding yourself falling into those comparisons. that's just the human experience. We're looking for those patterns. We're looking for what's a rule and what's an anomaly. But just noticing you're doing that. Am I doing this because of something that's based on reality? Or am I doing this, based on assumptions or based on like a test set of one, if that makes sense. As far as twins, or when you have multiples, it's even more natural to make that comparison, because often they're hitting those milestones at similar points. The direct comparison is there not just for a 2-year-old and a 4-year-old, but as 2 4-year-olds. And it's natural to get into a little bit of competition. And sometimes in order to like avoid competition, we kind of shift the pendulum to the other side. So maybe I grew up in a household where, you felt a lot of comparison, or if you really want there to not be that comparison, we overcompensate to when one sibling scores a goal. It's like, yeah, you scored a goal. You also played really hard, and in a non-emotional place, we can notice how, celebrating one person isn't actually saying anything negative about the other sibling. Those celebrations of achievements, we all have celebrations of achievements. We all have things that are unique and that we do very well. And celebrating what somebody does well is not saying, you ran so fast that you won the race. That's just factual. That's not a judgment about, so you're a better person. And so when, even though I can totally understand how the effort is there in praising one, needing to make that equal in terms of praise or celebration for another, rather than bringing another up, it's kind of diminishing the, achievement or that moment for celebration from the actual achievement. And it reinforces the idea that love and attention are pie or cake, and there's a finite amount. And if you get some, I don't get it. It kind of dilutes that experience of I did something wonderful and I'm being celebrated. So again, one of those times that you just notice what your natural instinct is and asking yourself, where did that come from? Noticing when those moments come up of that you see maybe some bickering happening, or this is a pain point, and asking, where did this come from? Where did this start from? Sometimes we can really make things so much bigger than they are of, maybe some bickering is happening and we think like there's something bigger at play. And it's like, no, it's just time for an after school snack. It's not sibling rivalry. It's not, we've set up poor conditions. It's just, sometimes you're crabby at the person who's nearest to you, because they're going to love you no matter what. And so when those sibling dynamics start to emerge, it's also helpful to, as an adult, to not go in and mediate, because then we're sending the message that there are winners and losers, and I'm here to judge who was right in this situation. And often when children are, left to their own devices and adults don't jump in with their own assumptions and their own baggage about that type of a situation, children will come to a really peaceful resolution that isn't necessarily what I would have picked or I would have suggested, or maybe doesn't feel equitable to me, but it feels equitable for them. And as long as I don't put my own judgment about it, like the pink one is better, and so you need to share it. If they're playing with something and there's a pink one and a blue one, and there's, I want the pink one, no, I want it. And as an adult, I jump in and try and fix that. Then I've attached more baggage to, the pink block or whatever it was. But if I don't jump in, maybe they realize, oh yeah, no, you can have the pink one. I like the blue one. It matches my outfit. You know, whatever it is, when we bring our own baggage to something or our own assumptions or think that we need to mediate, often we're making more of a mess of things with very good intentions. But trust, this is one of those trust the child, listen and see how they're problem solving. And give yourself a pat on the back for all those times when they are voicing their opinions and being assertive and having some problem solving and conflict negotiation.